Hello and welcome to the Bob Box. Just as a warning before we begin, this episode contains a bloodbath. Those who know Splinter will not need this warning. However, we're not going to go straight into the bloodbath. That has to wait until its moment. And its moment is not yet. Splinter was a silver-coloured box robot with a big old plastic shield at the front, something that had therefore some give, and two grabby arms, so Splinter could grab hold of an opponent. In short, Splinter weaponised hunks. Yeah, Splinter just wanted to give every other robot a cuddle. I swear this cough is nearly gone. Splinter was originally supposed to enter Series 3 of Robot Wars, but unfortunately it entered underweight, so it couldn't compete. So Splinter made its debut in Series 4 of Robot Wars instead, landing in Heat I. It drew a vertical spinner Smalltalk and lifter stroke Axebot Centurion, 31st seed. Splinter had even got an ally going into battle, Smalltalk. They were planning on teaming up and taking out Centurion. Splinter went right for the intended target, Centurion, right away, calling the 31st seed into a corner where Sergeant Bash was. Both Centurion and Smalltalk got hits in on Splinter. Splinter then wisely backed off and left Centurion Smalltalk. Splinter rocked up soon afterwards, grabbed Smalltalk and took it for a quick spin before letting go. It was at this point where Centurion drove into a wall and moved no more. Splinter then grabbed Smalltalk for a second time and carried it around the arena, sending Smalltalk to shunt, whilst wisely avoiding the house robot's axe. Smalltalk did not avoid Shunt's axe. Smalltalk did escape to annoy Centurion, which was very dead at this point. So the house robots went after Centurion, after being distracted by Smalltalk. The pit was opened, and Centurion was dropped in by the Killbot. Next up for Splinter was 16th seeded Axebot Kilohertz. Splinter elected to because they didn't have their axe yet. Attack Kilohertz from the side because they did not want to get axed by Kilohertz, and grabbed hold of Kilohertz, taking the 16th seed on a tour of the arena. Kilohertz got away, but it wasn't long before Splinter resumed its role as arena tour guide. Splinter eventually let go. Kilohertz then drove off into Shunt's corner, as Splinter doing all it could to keep Kilohertz there. Kilohertz then escaped and drove into an arena wall, smoking ominously. Kilohertz escaped to kill a lot, but God spun around. Once released, Kilohertz could actually move again, and took its frustration out on the nearest house robot, Sergeant Bash. But it was too late. Kilohertz had been deemed immobile for too long. So Splinter went through to face lifter Eric in the Heat Final. Splinter started the Heat Final by driving into a wall. Eric then tried to send Splinter to Matilda, but Splinter escaped and eventually sent Eric to Shunt. Both escaped, though Shunt attacked Eric with its axe, and Splinter took Eric on a tour of the arena. Splinter does also arena tour guide work, you'll notice. Splinter slammed Eric into walls, but Eric escaped. Eric tried to flip Splinter over, but Splinter landed on its wheels. Lucky them, Splinter had no stream mech. Eric's second attempt failed, flipping failed as well, because once again Splinter landed on its wheels. So Splinter pushed Eric around and time ran out. Not long afterwards, the judges recorded. The judges ruled in favour of Splinter. So Splinter was now in the series semi-finals, where it drew second-seeded horizontal flywheel-wielding spinner Hypno-Disc. Ye who are watching this episode may well have been waiting for this moment, as this is the bloodbath I warned you about. It's the fight Splinter is known for. I am not going to say that Splinter was obliterated and move on to extreme, because two things. One, there's more to this fight than that, and two, this fight is known as the bloodiest fight in Robot Wars history. And I want to tell you all why. 3, spoiler alert, Hypno-Disc is my favourite robot. I'm not gonna leave anything out here. I'm telling you what happened. Splinter had an odd plan. Its tactic was to charge headfirst into Hypno-Disc, which was how it started the battle, charging headlong into Hypno-Disc. It actually worked. It corralled Hypno-Disc into Dead Metal's corner before driving into the wall. Oops. Splinter took a hit to the rear end before sending Hypno-Disc straight back to Dead Metal. Hypno-Disc got out, and Splinter kept charging at Hypno-Disc, hoping to Newton's third law, the second seed, into submission. And it was working. It worked very well. Until Splinter charged into Hypno-Disc at the wrong angle, and 2 hits later, Splinter's plastic scoop had parted company with Splinter. The left-hand side followed. Again, removed in 2 hits. The left arm was hanging on for dear life. The battery was taken out. Splinter was not going to move again. So, the house robots moved in. The pit was opened. The house robots did not do anywhere near as much damage to Splinter as Hypno-Disc did. So Kilowatt picked up and threw Splinter. And by the end of the battle, which was not long afterwards, Splinter was basically looking pretty much how it was pre-construction. A pile of parts, basically. But now, a lot of these parts were broken parts because of Hypno-Disc. Splinter returned for Extreme 1, needless to say, rebuilt completely, and had a stronger scoop made out of metal now, not plastic, and a new axe, so it could axe robots. First for it was the Mayhem, the qualifier for the Annihilator, the first Annihilator. So 3 robots go in, 1 survive. And Splinter faced Axebot, Kilotron, and Grabber, Stroke Glitchbot, Stroke Flipper, Agrobot. After a tentative start, Splinter grabbed an axed Agrobot, but took an axe blow from Kilotron and got attacked by Agrobot as well. Splinter tried to attack Agrobot and Kilotron at the same time, but it wasn't the wisest of ideas tactically. Splinter then grabbed an axe Kilotron. Who axes the Axebot? Splinter, bien, sir. But Kilotron got free and Agrobot turned Splinter over. Agrobot got axed by Kilotron, and Splinter just about managed to get righted, with a little help from Dead Metal. Then Agrobot just died. It was counted out, the pit was opened, Splinter escaped, and Splinter escaped because it was from dead metal, who was hanging out with whilst Agrabot was being counted out. Kilotron ventured into Sir Kilot's area and paid the heavy price. It got pitted. So, Splinter made the Annihilator. There it faced Flipper Thermidor 2, pyramid-shaped cutting disc wielder Pussycat, Axbot stroke lifter Arnold A. Termin-Egger, and another Axbot in Exterminator, and Hypno-Disc. Dun dun dun! It's Revenge o'clock. Splinter wisely kept away from Hypno-Disc, choosing to focus on AAT, grabbing it and resuming arena tour guide duties. Pussycat was Splinter's next target before Splinter sent Thermidor 2 to a corner from whence it only moved when being dragged by Shunt. Splinter also axed Hypno-Disc repeatedly, as all of the Axbots in the arena did. And afterwards, Splinter targeted Exterminator. Thermidor 2 was counted out, so on to round 2. Splinter went for Pussycat, but in sending Pussycat to Sergeant Bash, Splinter was left in serious danger of losing an arm to Sergeant Bash's pincers. After the pit was opened, Pussycat pushed Splinter before, once again, Splinter went for Exterminator and axed it. Remember, Splinter axes the Axbots. Splinter then went for Pussycat. Once Splinter was free, Splinter got a shove from Hypno-Disc before Splinter took a hold of the spinner. Now, you think, this would be an ideal time for Splinter to take Hypno-Disc to the Pit of Oblivion and get its revenge that way. Well, I'm sure it was trying that, but Exterminator snatched Hypno-Disc away from the grasp of Splinter. What has Hypno-Disc done to you, Exterminator? Oh yeah, that's right. Nothing. Leave this one to Splinter. You know, the one who got trashed by Hypno-Disc. Anyway, Hypno-Disc managed to get free, and Exterminator died. They were counted out. So, round 3. Splinter went for Pussycat at first, and everyone was ignoring the very immobile Hypno-Disc that was very close to the Pit of Oblivion. Splinter opened the pit, and after Pussycat had pushed Hypno-Disc part of the way to the pit, Splinter rocked up to Hypno-Disc and pushed Hypno-Disc most of the way there. Revenge is sweet. And then Pussycat rocked up and finished the job for Splinter. Pussycat, I like you. I do. But what you did is kind of called kill stealing. Splinter then pitied Pussycat. That, as a direct result, put a target right on Splinter's back. They were marked by Pussycat. I don't mean in that way. I mean in the way Pussycat wanted Splinter to go down. So, round 4. Splinter targeted Pussycat. Bad news. But about the full force of the Series 4 runner-up as Splinter got sent to a corner. Splinter grabbed, axed and rammed Pussycat. Meanwhile, AAT, Arnold, Herman Egger, opened the pit. Pussycat went all in for the attack, as Splinter did, and the action took everyone to a wall. Splinter did not let up, even though its arms were being targeted. Arnold helped attack Pussycat, and all three eventually managed to escape from the wall. Pussycat attacked Splinter's rear end until it died. It was probably just so Splinter died when it did, because Arnold then took out Terminator, then took out Pussycat's blade. I'm talking disattached it from the robot. The blade was torn asunder. Splinter was counted out and flew air floor flipper. Turned out the aerial got chopped. Ouch. Still, third place in an annihilator containing Hypno-Disc is a perfectly respectable result. Splinter was also in Series 5, where it landed once again in Heat I and was seeded 17th. Well, it deserved that after making the semis. In its first round, it drew cutting disc wielding Wedgebot Viper 01. Splinter grabbed Viper 01 and sent it to Shunt. Between Shunt and Splinter and the axe blows they rained down on Viper 01, Viper 01 gained a few holes. Both backed off, and Splinter opened the pit. Viper 01 still kept running just about, and it was pushed around by Splinter, but it was being roasted by the house robots as time ran out, and the judges recorded. Viper 01 never got counted out. The judge's decision went to Splinter. Next up for Splinter was Bigger Brother, a flipper. Bigger Brother flipped Splinter early on. The first time, 17 seats recovered. They managed to sell freight. Now they had an axe. The second time, they got trapped against the wall and couldn't. The third flip sent Splinter clean out of the arena. After Bigger Brother flipped Splinter out of the arena, Splinter never returned to Robot Wars. And this was not for a lack of trying. They tried to qualify for Series 6, but they lost in the qualifiers. They drew a vertical spinner named 259, and poor Splinter did not even make it 30 seconds before it lost. Splinter had a lot of potential, and it's far more than Hypno-Disc's most famous victim. That's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to Splinter. Series 5 should really have been a series where Splinter thrived. Okay, it likely would not have been the champion. It likely may never have made it past the semi-finals. But it could have opened the pit, grabbed the robot, dumped it in. The tactic Tough as Nails would later go on to use. It just had a rough draw. Bigger Brother was one of the worst robots it could have faced, and Bigger Brother was on fire in Series 5 in a good way. It ultimately, made the grand final. It came second. Not even Hypno-Disc could stop it. Chaos 2 couldn't stop it. It took Razor to take down Bigger Brother. So, for Splinter, there is no shame in going out to after a robot that was in such good form. And there was no shame in its lost Hypno-Disc either, even though it got trashed. It earned the title of semi-finalist. And as for Splinter's tactic used against Hypno-Disc, that was adopted by Behemoth's team and was used on every horizontal spinner it faced. And it worked on every horizontal spinner Behemoth faced that was not called Carbide. This included Hypno-Disc itself. So, Splinter's trashing was not in vain. You did good, Waitman family. You did good. This is a seal of approval. So, who's next? For next week's robots be on the wrong end or the right end of a trashing? Top bot is what I've got. I've got top bot. Until next week, Callison244 out.